In May, the decision was made to decommission the Minnesota Licensing and Registration System, often referred to as MNLARS, and replace it with a new system, the Vehicle Title and Registration System. The legislative committee overseeing the transition met this week.
We stand here today still at the outset of this journey, one that will be taken over the course of the next 2 years to retire MNLARS and associated legacy systems and replace them with a packaged software solution. This implementation will enable Minnesota to join an ecosystem of other states who are delivering driver and vehicle services against the backdrop of a rapidly evolving technology marketplace with rapidly evolving consumer expectations. And that ecosystem will enable Minnesota to leverage both the innovative approaches of other states as well as the research and development investments of a leading industry partner for years to come. This journey will not be easy, though. There will be, as there always is in the case of a large technology implementation, bumps in the road along the way.
Looking back from the beginning, we always were concerned the number of deputy registers were not enough that were involved in the previous release. And so is 5, in your opinion, is 5 enough that represent a small shop, a large shop, a county-run shop, a city-run shop, and a private shop that gives everybody not exactly what they want, but a good compromise that represents all our different structures of deputy registers?
I do believe that 5 is sufficient. It's hard to judge between, say, 5 and 8, but I think any more than that is not really necessary. 5 is a good number, and the 5 would be there full-time, so they're actually there every day. I think that will get a lot of utility out of that. I think it is also incumbent on those groups to work back with their associations and make sure they keep the members that they represent, the 5 representing the full suite of deputy registrars, informed about what's going on and get their input.
Department of Public Safety is the lead agency for the implementation of VTRS, and as I understand it, Minute's primary role is the decommissioning of the old MNLARS system. So my question to you is, as the vendor, are you receiving, all of the information that you need in order to proceed with the contract?
Minute's primary role on top of the decommissioning is also providing us with the infrastructure, hardware, networking, that type of operational work. They were great to work with during our first FastDS rollout, and we're continuing to see that great cooperation with Minute in terms of the hardware and infrastructure. In terms of the decommissioning and other related information we need from them, we've been at this for about 2 weeks, so we're just starting to ask the questions and knock on the doors, and we're just to the point now where we're starting to get to some pointed questions, and to date the answers have been forthcoming and very quick.
DPS has been very helpful, Mr. Chairman, and I would point back to Senator Jasinski's comments earlier. We do very much look for and even rely upon good business expertise from ultimately the people who will use the system, and DPS has been very helpful in bringing deputy registrars onto the project that are engaged and excited to be there and very much motivated. They seem very motivated to help us create a good solution.
The current MNLARS system is, depending on, estimates, probably 2/3, 3/5, 4/5 complete, and is able to really largely manage the transaction volume that it's requested to do. But there are a lot of manual interventions and manual steps, and so there is a staff that provides the just ongoing maintenance of the system related to security patches, maintaining the infrastructure, as well as just the normal starting and stopping and correcting of runtime activities that are involved. And I think it's really critical that we don't take our eye off of that until the appropriate time for decommissioning.
Joining me is the co-chair of the committee, Senator Scott Newman. Thanks for joining me today.
Happy to be here.
Before we get into discussion of the new Vehicle Title and Registration System, which is called VTRS, update us on what you're hearing from the deputy registrars. Have they recovered to a certain extent from the financial damage that they received during that troubled rollout of MNLARS?
I think that to a certain extent the answer is yes. I think that the deputy registrars, particularly those in private business, really took a significant hit with the problems that we had with MNLARS. But we did put up $13 million to help offset some of their losses, and I haven't heard complaints. So maybe no news is good news.
Quite possibly. To move ahead with a working state licensing and registration system, Minnesota has chosen to buy an off-the-shelf product that other states have used. Are you satisfied today that this was the best option for the state policies, to decommission MNLARS and to go with this sort of off-the-shelf product?
The answer to your question is an unqualified yes. It was the best thing for us to do. If we had continued with the MNLARS system, with Minute developing it, Minute being the state technology agency, I believe that we would have every single year had deficiency funding requests that would have come forward. I think that we would have ended up with a product that worked, but would have been very cumbersome and difficult to improve on in the future. By doing what we did, we went to the private sector, and that private sector, we can call it an off-the-shelf project or product, and to a certain extent that is true. However, this same company has this system working in, I think it's 11 other states. And I am satisfied that, number one, they have the technical expertise to do this. They have the experience to do it. We are getting it for, I think in the long run, less money than what MNLARS would have cost us. It will have the ability to adapt and improve and be usable by people in Minnesota with respect to our particular needs. So it isn't just a off-the-shelf product.
Right. It begins that way, though, because my
does.
question is, each state is very idiosyncratic and law changes over time. So you do believe that this product, however, you're working with the company to, set it up for our state, will it be moldable for the future as laws inevitably will change?
That being changeable and moldable is written into the bill that implemented the VTRS program, and it's in the contract between Department of Public Safety and Fast Enterprises, which is the vendor that is providing this with us. So the answer is yes. I'm very comfortable with that, and I really think that we have finally turned the corner where we've got some positive news coming out with respect to our vehicle and licensing registration system.
So this process, what's happened, begs a larger question, because originally a state would tackle a project like this. It would be done by Minnesotans for Minnesotans. But there were problems. The legislative auditor found problems at all levels. Today, in the hearing, the program director for Driver and Vehicle Services provided a comprehensive breakdown of just the transition, the decommissioning and the start of the new with responsibilities and governance. Had this level of oversight been in place when MNLARS started, could it have been more successful?
I'm going to say maybe. This is just a personal opinion, and you're asking me to look.
I'm asking you to speculate on the past, but
and I'm not anxious to do that. I'm anxious to speculate on the future because I think it's much more positive. I do have serious questions in my mind as to whether or not our state agency, Minute, has the technical expertise to put together the necessary package for our driver and vehicle licensing registration program. It's very complex and very difficult. So I think it's more a matter of, as we move forward, I think that we have chosen the correct path. Could it have been done better in the past with MNLARS? Absolutely, without question. Would we have Maybe when the previous vendor was terminated way back in like 2014 or 15, if we had maybe had this kind of legislative oversight at that time, maybe we would have gone with a private vendor, you know, a number of years ago. But that's pure speculation. Here's what's important, is that when we got into the 2019 session, myself and Governor Walz and the Senate Majority Leader and the leadership in the House all got together and we agreed that we had to do something drastic to fix this. And I want to credit Governor Walz for recognizing that fact, because it's something I've been trying to do for a number of years. And so we ended up going with the notion of having an independent outside peer review of the MNLARS system. And something happened that I've never seen before in my legislative career. We stopped two state agencies cold in the tracks, did a 180 and went in a different direction. And you just don't see that happen. But that's exactly what happened in this case, and I think it's a really, really positive move for the state of Minnesota.
Considering how complex state agencies are, how much information they are in charge of, the difficulty of managing those systems, do you think this is essentially showing a new way forward for the state in terms of how we manage our information services and the things that interact with the public and all of that? I mean, this has been a whole process that began, you know, very rocky, and now you found a new direction that involves the private sector. Is this essentially a roadmap for future ways of upgrading our systems?
I would hope so, and I would say take the, you know, let's take some good out of this experience that we had with MNLARS and extrapolate into all of our other state agencies. And what we did is we, in essence, it's a public-private partnership where the private sector is providing us with expertise that the public sector does not have. And there's nothing wrong with that. We went to the private sector and asked them for an evaluation, and they gave it to us, and it was a very thorough, honest evaluation. I think that every state agency throughout the state government should be looking at the same thing, and form this relationship with the private sector to help us in the government with the necessary expertise that we don't necessarily have. And I think the private sector has it. We simply have to engage them.
Senator Newman, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.